His will for your life with Cherie Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topics, testimony, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Cherie Harris.
Welcome back, and here is Prophet Omar Harris. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Shalom. How are you?
I won't complain. I won't complain. Well, you are a familiar face here on His Will for Your Life. And so I'm going to allow you this opportunity to reintroduce yourself to those who may not know who you are.
Okay. I am Omar Harris. I'm out of Philadelphia. I facilitate Foundational Friday every Friday night, Foundational Friday Torah study, where we deal with the foundational things of the faith, and we build to show how those things are applicable in our walk today. You can find me on Facebook at the Foundational Friday Torah Study Facebook page, Foundational Friday Torah Study Facebook group, and the Foundational Friday Torah Study YouTube page, where there's over like 3 years of teachings. There's a lot of good stuff there. So that's pretty much it. And I'm so glad to be here tonight. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. It's always great to have you. And he's one of our standard panelists. So we are in for a treat tonight. If you don't know, if you haven't already, please take this time to like, comment, and share. You feel free to ask questions. This is an open question platform tonight. Prophet Omar, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. And guys, we're experiencing a little delay, so you'll see me or hear me pause after I ask him a question. Can you describe your personal spiritual practices or principles and how they help you maintain your spiritual health?
Okay. So the way I maintain my spiritual health is prayer, prayer, prayer. Prayer is the lifeline to everything concerning spiritual health. Without it, we are totally disconnected from the Creator. We're disconnected from the one who give us guidance, comfort, and instruction in the times that we need it. In Jude 1:20, it said we should build up our inner man by praying in the Spirit. And I feel like prayer is necessary, and faith is like an exercise. So, the same way that we need, let's say our immune system. Like for me, we have to take vitamin C. We have to do things to strengthen our immune system, our health. And in the same way, we have to build up our inner man through prayer. And prayer and fasting is the way that I, and I'm sure many others, build up their inner man to make ourselves strong so that we can endure what life brings, so we can stay healthy through the challenges and the daily demands that's on our life, even in whether it's work or it's ministry. And so that's how I go about kind of maintaining my spiritual health. I mean, even it, uh, although we do that, that does not mean the challenges and the attacks won't come, but we won't succumb to them. We'll
Mm,
be spiritually healthy enough and have the strength enough to overcome.
okay, very good. Thank you. What role, as you mentioned earlier, what role does prayer play in your daily life, and how do you ensure it remains a priority? So you explained it, but explain it again.
Okay. So in my daily life,
Mm-hmm.
prayer is what I do for direction, because without it, I don't have the direction I need or the connection. I can feel when I feel a little distant from the Most High. I can feel it in my inner man,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I know I need to spend more time in prayer, because we all have busy lives. Sometimes we're working, we're ministering to everybody else, and we're doing things for other people. We're trying to keep all the pieces of life together, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes with that we can kind of start the decline in our prayer just because of the lack of time. But um, I try to find time early in the morning, because that's when life is least busy. It's the least busy in the morning, early,
Mm-hmm.
like first thing when I wake up. I'll set my alarm clock at a specific time to get up so I can spend that time with him, because I know that I can't successfully move through the day without being connected with him first, because that's where I get the instruction from, to even from
Yes.
the head of the day to do anything else throughout. Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Perfect. That's what I was looking for. How do you balance your personal spiritual growth with your responsibilities in ministry, if you will?
Um, I kind of the balance for me, I feel like the way I lead my life,
Mm-hmm.
I lead it following with the will of the Most High is. So in the way in my mind, it's all one thing,
Mm-hmm.
because the spiritual growth and the responsibilities, they're together. And
Mm-hmm.
so how I manage to do them both and still grow at the same time is really simply being positioning myself to ensure that I'm always hearing what it is that he wants, and doing my best with the help of the Ruach HaKodesh, or Holy Spirit, for those who know that term, to guide me. And so I feel like as long as I'm doing that, I can stay on the path, and I can experience accomplishing whatever it is that he has me to do, whether it
Mm-hmm.
be a regular life or ministry, and still be on task, because he's leading me and guiding me, and I'm always have my ear to what it is he wants me to do. I had to learn how to just give up myself and my thoughts and my opinions, things that it really takes a giving up of yourself, and that's not easy, because a lot of times we want to have the wheel in the driver's seat.
Yes.
It's difficult at times. So, but that's how I go about that. And I realized this one thing: the more that I learn how to give up control or myself, so to speak, the more
Mm-hmm.
growth takes place.
Mm.
That's a spirit. That's a more spiritually healthy state to be in, because when we give up ourselves, we allow him to just rule and reign and really be Lord over our lives, and that will definitely spark growth in all of us.
Yes, yes. And that's why it's important to always allow him to be in that driver's seat. You know, we
Right.
often say, Jesus or Yahushua take the wheel, but
Mm-hmm.
he would never have to take the wheel if he was already behind the wheel. So we have to
Yes.
learn to uh, release that full control. Sometimes, we want to hold on to this part and let him take care of that part where he should have all control over our lives.
That's I have to. I've done it.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah, we've all we've all been there. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What are some common challenges you face in maintaining spiritual health, and how do you actually overcome them?
Common challenges is some of them are when uh, sometimes when you or when I don't see the results right away that the Most High promised, or a certain thing don't go as I thought it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
It can cause anxiety. That's why in the Word it tells us, "Don't be anxious for anything." That anxiety can set in on us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it can lead to worrying. I've been in all of these situations. I
Yes.
know them intimately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that word, it tells us don't be anxious, because why? We get anxious. We
Yeah.
worry at certain things. We
Mm-hmm.
get in places of doubt, and it brings about that worrying, that overthinking, and and so I have to bring, when I get in those spaces, those things, I've experienced them. And at this point in my life, learn how to catch it before it gets far along as it used to. So that's part of that growth, right? But I do that with just submitting myself and say, okay, I probably said this before. Some probably heard me say this before, but okay, this is happening. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
overthinking this thing. It's on my mind and it's interrupting my day and my prayer life.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to put this in your hands, and I'm really going to put it in your hands, and you tell me what you want me to do about this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's taking up space in my mind that it should not be, because it's removing my focus off of you, and now I'm focused on this issue, this
Mm-hmm.
thing, or whatever it may be.
Right.
Sometimes so much so it begins to be difficult to hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to find the place of shalom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because shalom is similar to hearing. Shalom means to destroy chaos,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hearing means to be separated from the authority of chaos, but shalom means to destroy the chaos. So when we enter into a space of shalom, everything else stops.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And at that point, we can really maintain or begin to cultivate our spiritual health, because chaos is not healthy on any level. We can't
Mm-mm.
think straight, hear straight, nothing.
No.
He can be talking, we ain't hear nothing. So
Absolutely.
that's the process. That's the process that I've grown to exercise. But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't always this way. It was not. But
Mm-hmm.
I've grown to that place. Yeah.
Right. And it is a process. We all have to grow to that place because we're fighting our flesh daily. So we're not always
Right.
walking around in the spirit or ruach. We're not. We just, we're human. And so we're going to do human things. And we want to feel good. We want to do our own thing. We want to indulge. And that's not what he has for us.
And I think that's important what you just said about many of us, sometimes we get so deep and we try to ignore our humanity. No,
Mm-hmm.
we have things that we need to work out and work on and build up,
Yes.
just like anyone else. When we try to overlook or glaze over or ignore our humanity,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we stumble.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you share an experience, if you will, about your spiritual health when it was tested and how you navigated through it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was tested. It was tested when I was homeless for a period of time. I mean, the level of chaos I had in my mind, that I did not understand why this was happening. Even couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. It's the same kind of stuff what people experience even when I had a divorce before. These things are, you couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, all kind of things, lost weight, couldn't focus. It was insane. The lack of focus was so bad. All I could think about was the issue in the situation. I mean, it overtook me, right?
Yeah.
And it got to a point where, you know, I feel like when you decide, when you make a firm decision, when you are tired of being tired, that is when I pressed into the Most High more, because it comes to a time where, if in my mind, okay, if you don't do this, it won't be done. So again, when I placed it in his hands, even though I'm still experiencing the situation, my prayer increased, my fasting increased, studying my word increased, the declarations I spoke over my life increased.
Yes.
My faith and my thought process increased. It saw the finished work when it wasn't finished yet. Right? You have to, I had to walk in my mind in what was to come without being in what's to come yet. And it takes a lot, because you have to deny yourself of engaging in the current situation or circumstances. You have to deny that thing that says this is completely hard, but it's never going to change. That's not healthy. It's not. So you have to speak those things that are not as though they are.
Right.
That's how we move away from anxiety and stress and anxiousness and doubt. We can destroy those things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a circumstance or a situation where I had to truly exercise these things that I'm saying over a long period of time. It wasn't a quick turnaround, but it made me stronger.
You know, we have a similar testimony, if you will, or experience. I was once homeless and couldn't understand how did I get here.
Right.
And I remember, because he brings everything back to your remembrance when you're going through something. And I remember asking him or telling him I wanted to get to know him and the power of his resurrection. And when I tell you I went through hell and high water, but it brought me closer to him. And I wouldn't trade that place for anything in the world. It
Right.
taught me how to trust him. It taught me how to lean on him. It just taught me so much, and I grew. And it grew so much that he had me write a book at that time, and it's a New Believers book, Reborn to Live, Reborn to Be Free, and that's exactly what happened to me.
Mm-hmm. I look at it. It's like we say we want to be soldiers in the army of Yahuwah, or everything else, right? Of the Most High, but soldiers go through boot camp.
They do.
They go through various tests throughout the whole course.
Yeah.
For training and strengthening before they can effectively do their duties.
Mm-hmm.
And so every so often we get sent through that spiritual boot camp before we can elevate and grow to that next level, so we can be strong enough and healthy enough to handle what's to come. But it's not easy, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't like it. I don't like it, but it's necessary. Now I understand it.
That's the word. It's necessary.
Mm-hmm. It's necessary, because if we want next level power, next level anointing, we have to experience those things. It is part of our spiritual growth, which it is the epitome of being spiritually healthy. The Bible says the testing of our faith produces endurance. That is the purpose from it. That's the purpose for it, rather.
Ooh, yes. Okay, we're moving. We are moving. So we're talking about the burden of ministry, right? So how do you deal with spiritual burnout? And what advice would you give to us who may be experiencing burnout?
Usually spiritual burnout comes when we are pouring out of ourselves so much, but we're not filling back up.
Absolutely.
Right? We have the old the old saying. I don't know if it's that old, but we hear it a lot. We can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot.
And that's a fact. Sometimes we run on fumes and things, and so we really have to. You can see it in the Bible. There were times where some of the prophets and even Yahushua himself, the Messiah himself, and Moses, they would separate themselves for the very people they were leading. They would separate themselves and commune with the Most High to be strengthened, to be restored, to be made whole again. And then they will go back out to the people. If you read the book of Enoch, he disappeared for weeks at a time, and he would come back once a week. Then it was once a month. And he would, but he was communing and resting and being rejuvenated. And what happens is some leaders, they are afraid to leave their assemblies or quote unquote churches because they're scared that it's going to go all up in chaos if they're gone. But leaders have to trust the people they put in place. You have to trust your staff. You have to trust your other ministers or pastors that you have to be in place, because it is crucially important that leaders be restored and be rejuvenated and filled up again.
Yes.
And that may come in that, and a lot of times that just comes in the form of taking a vacation. Sometimes you just need a vacation. It ain't that deep. They're gonna be all right when you get back. You put the whole assembly in Yahuwah's hands, and you have to go be restored, rejuvenated, because it is not healthy to be burnt out. So I mean, it's exhausting. It can cause health issues and everything.
It surely can. Last week, our guest told us, "Great is grace. Ask for grace to rest." He's given us grace to rest. And we I don't think we know how to rest. Well, I do, because I'll take a nap in a minute. But there are some people who don't know how to rest. And I know when something is getting too much for me, whether it's on a spiritual level or personal level, I just take that time. I won't respond to an email. I won't answer a phone call. I won't respond to a text. And it's just, I'll put my phone on D&D and be done with it.
Yeah, because ministry is very demanding. It requires of us, and again, you have to maintain a level of being filled so that you can pour out effectively without being completely depleted. That's not healthy.
Right. As a leader, what ways does your community of believers play a role in your spiritual health?
Oh man, that's important, because it's important to have wise counsel, people who keep you accountable when you may be veering off or you may need to improve something. Other people that are in the faith that you can trust, that can encourage you. I've received so much encouragement in my low times. They build me up, they lift me up, they do pour into me where at the times that I need it the most. And I trust them. And so I am so grateful for that. But that wise counsel, that encouragement, it helps me to keep going, even in the times where I'm feeling depleted or exhausted. I feel like, oh, I'm tired, not today. That's how the community of believers have impacted and helped my life. I've been down, and I mean low, a few times. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know how I would have made it through, And so I am so grateful for the community of believers that the Most High has allowed me to encounter in this walk.
I find it so interesting that in this season for me, that he doesn't allow many to attach themselves to me. And I love that because I love hard. And so he won't, if you're not right, he's not going to allow you in my space.
Right.
And I have learned to safeguard my heart. And I don't have everybody around me. Now, I'm cordial, yeah, but not in that intimate space, if you will. I don't allow it unless you're deposited into me.
Right.
So, what practices or resources do you recommend for continual spiritual growth?
Repeat it again. You said,
What practices or resources do you recommend for continual spiritual growth?
practices that I recommend for continued spiritual growth.
Or you recommend for it? Yes.
Always prayer. Always reading our word. Always maintain the capacity to be teachable, because there are leaders that have more knowledge, more wisdom, more experience than us in that, and they are who we are to learn from, because they play an important part in our spiritual growth. Because we don't know everything. I mean, we act like we do sometimes. We don't know everything. We have not experienced everything, but there are some leaders who have experience in certain areas where we may not have experienced yet. And if we can humble ourselves enough to be teachable, we can learn and add that to what we already have in our arsenal. And that is within itself is growth, because the Most High speaks to us and he teaches us, but then he appoints people that he speaks through, that they have a high level of knowledge, they have a high level of wisdom and experience. And so I'm a firm believer in prayer, cultivate faith, but be teachable, because there's a lot of wisdom that he placed in people on the earth for a reason, to teach us, to guide us, because there's not one of us walking this planet who knows everything. Iron sharpen iron. That's in the book for a reason.
Absolutely.
And that is part of our spiritual growth. That's part of our spiritual health, because sometimes you have other believers, leaders, and things that's people that are in your proximity that can see and hear things that you may not see and hear. And so I think those are the things that I would recommend. Those are the things that I keep at the forefront of my thought process. And again, I always didn't think this way, but I grew to this place.
Yes, that's the important part. We grow to that space, and it comes from experiences. When you talked about teachable, I thought about how I always say I'm fat. I'm faithful, available, and teachable. And we can never learn too much. We can never know too much. You just have to be faithful. You have to be available, and you have to be teachable.
Yes.
As for me, when I wanted to study from the Torah, because I knew it was more than what I had been taught all my life, pretty much. Baptized at 10, saved at 15, going into my adolescence and adulthood, I knew that there was something more, and I couldn't put my finger on it until I asked him to show me him and show me his original intent for us. And so he gave me back to the basics, and that was one of the messages that I preached, back to the basics. And I wanted to know the Torah, and I asked him to send me someone, and he sent me Apostle Thomas on my podcast to deposit into me. At one of my birthday wishes, I wanted to celebrate on the podcast, and I did. And he was recommended to come on and deposit into me because I didn't know him. And he spoke into my life, and I reached out to him when I realized he studied from the Torah. And that's how we connected. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is amazing, right? All the way from New Jersey. And I had to come to Virginia to find her. But
Yeah, that's
to
my
know.
brother. I learned a lot from him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little challenging because you think I have to undo 50 years of what I've been taught, pretty much. Well,
Yeah.
almost 50 years of what I had been taught from youth, you know. So a lot to undo, but it's worth it. It's coming directly from him, from his word. What else? Question I have for you. This is something because you. How do you stay connected to your spiritual goals and visions for yourself and for your ministry?
How do I stay connected to the spiritual roles and the vision?
Your goals and your vision for yourself and your ministry.
Oh, the spiritual goals in the vision. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always when the thing I've learned to do is not to do anything before I hear the Most High tell me what to do. So I am constantly seeking him for what to do next. And if he tells me what to do, then I ask him, how do you want me to do it? He's very detailed. This is why I always say hearing is extremely important. And not just hearing, we have to cultivate the capacity to know his voice. Because you can hear something and it might not be him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But his sheep know his voice, and that comes by spending time with him. So I always look at the vision, the goals, and I hear what he say. But my daily task is to give me the instructions on step one. I see the goal, I see the vision, but the instructions is how I stay connected to it. It's how I stay on the path. Because without his instructions, step by step, I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna jack it all the way up. So I don't rely on myself. I'm gonna jack it up. I'm gonna jack it up, y'all. I'm gonna jack it up. But I've learned, as I mentioned early, how to not rely on myself. I rely on what he said do. And if he said do this thing, that means he is going to empower me to do it because it's already in his will for me to do it.
Absolutely.
Only thing I need is the instructions on when and how. That's it. And so that comes with prayer and fasting and practicing, or not, well, I guess you could say, but listening to hear his voice. And so that's how I stay on task or connected with the goal and the vision that he has set forth.
Yeah, we have to know his voice. You know, it's not so much knowing his voice from the enemy's voice, but knowing his voice from our own voice. Because when we want something,
that's it right there.
We want something, we think we heard it, right? Because that's something we want. It's not what he said.
Yeah, our desires be screaming at it. They be yelling loud too.
Very. You want it. You want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you share a book, a podcast, or a speaker or leader that has significantly influenced you in your spiritual journey?
Oh man, of course, Apostle Tommy Simpson. Of course, him. My late Rabbi Apostle Raymond P. Stansberry. He got many books too on Facebook. Oh my, yeah, I went to prophetic school there. I learned a lot from him. Wow. And I have my current Maury Tamiko Evans, and our overseer Dr. Kenneth Howard. I've learned so much from these people that I just named. They have been very instrumental in my growth, very instrumental in seeing me through in difficult times.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, they've been some pillars in my life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's very important to have uh, those people in our lives surrounding us.
And they hold me accountable too. They keep me
Holding us,
accountable. So that's important.
holding us accountable, yes, but also interceding for us.
Yes,
That's
that too.
important.
Yep.
Yeah. And I also said share your favorite podcast, and you better have the right answer.
Oh, you know, it's his will for your life. You know that's it.
Yes.
You know that's it. You know that's it.
Yes. How do you incorporate reflection and renewal in your daily and weekly routine?
Reflection and renewal.
How do you incorporate reflection and renewal in your daily or weekly routine?
hmm Um, reflection. I always take the time to I try my best to
Mm-hmm.
make examining myself a
Mm-hmm.
practice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's something because sometimes we don't, we think we okay and but I take the time to examine and reflect on where I was before and the way I used to do things before. And I always ask the Most High to reveal
Mm-hmm.
myself to me, reveal the
Mm-hmm.
things that I don't see, the areas that I may be a little off the path in, because sometimes you don't see them. Right? Let me not make the mistakes that I made before.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that I could have done more effectively that I didn't do as effective before that caused the stumble? I
Mm-hmm.
I think on those things because I can't afford to stumble anymore. And so when those same things come before me, because of the reflection, I try my best with the help of the Ruach not to repeat the stumble
Mm-hmm.
because those stumbles they set us back off the mission. And I'm at a place in my life where I just want to experience that continual spiritual healthiness, continual spiritual growth, because the purpose is calling for it. And there's no time for setbacks that I already did before. I don't want to retake the test. I can't do it.
Yeah,
if it's
that
if it's
that's
a test, if it's a test, let it be a new one so I can have a next level growth, not a repeat of the class I already took.
abs-
Hallelujah.
absolutely. We have a couple of questions for you. Have you ever been instructed by the Most High to do something that faltered or doubted Him, and not follow through on His instructions? Can you give an example, and how did it turn out?
However, there's something faltered and doubted him. Yeah.
Hmm?
I let me see. Have been instructed the Most High to do something but faltered or doubted him and allowed and not follow his instructions? I'm trying to think. I because I'm scared. I'd be scared not to follow. I'm them bumps and bruises. I got enough of them joints.
You know, one of
Maybe I'm gonna share something because
mhm,
um sometimes we think the Most High don't um he somehow we think he don't know what he's talking about,
mm,
right? And I think that where I fall short sometimes is when he gives instruction through the prophetic, right?
mhm,
Because he'll say this is going to happen,
mhm.
right? Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Come
I
on.
remember before, um, when I was married, right?
Mhm,
Um, the Most High gave me three dreams, three times.
wow.
when this person came from Jamaica, they was
Mm-hmm.
going to leave twice and not come back. And I was like, what? He showed me it. Clear as I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at you, I saw it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so strong in me. It said, "Don't bring her here." I was like, but I'm already married. How can I? I didn't
Wow.
make sense. I did it anyway. I cannot
Wow.
make this up. This is the
Wow.
first time I'm probably sharing this before.
This is an
You asked
exclusive.
you asked me. Pauline started this. I was
Yes,
minding my business.
yes, you did. Thank you, Pauline.
Yeah, I had the dreams. He showed me. He showed me it. And I ain't believe it. I was like, man, then why would you? Well, we married already. I'm in covenant. I would have done all this. That's my wife. Why would you? That don't make no sense. Leave her over there. Know what I do? I
Mm,
brought her here.
mm,
I paid dearly for it. Pastor Tommy, my witness. I
mm,
was so, I was so, I was so out of it. Couldn't
mm.
think. Spiritual health was gone. You
Wow.
hear me? It was done. So that's the one time. And then later, I got a prophecy that said, yeah, I allowed this to happen. Right.
Wow.
And a lot of things took place, like adultery, to all this stuff took place once that person was here.
Wow.
And we think that if, I love this person so much, if the Most High didn't will it, I'm telling you, it
Mm.
will not be so. He don't care what you want. If you are connected to him, his will be done.
Yes,
I
Lord.
cried many of these.
I
I
bet you.
lost all kinds of weight. And I was not in the spiritually healthy state at that point. But the people that were surrounding me kept lifting me up and praying for me and praying with me and calling me and checking on me. And
Mm,
so if I had to give an example, that might be the one.
mm.
Because since that time, I don't want to know what you say. Oh, I got it. You listen. And I'm like, you could have told me. You could have told me. But with that reflection you mentioned, he told me.
Mm.
I bypassed it because
Mm.
my desire was stronger than what he wanted.
Yeah. Yes. Whew. You know, my worst fear is
So,
outside of his will.
yep. Yeah, well, he would never do such a thing. Yeah, he
Mm.
did. He, when you start dealing with marriage and you look into it, we say, there's reasons if they pass away, the marriage bond is severed. If they commit adultery, the
Mhm.
bond is severed, and if they abandon the marriage with no intent to return, it says you no longer balance of it.
Mhm.
But the two besides death already happened. So when it happened, he severed the covenant already.
Mm.
He made it so it was removed.
Wow.
I was so broken, completely broken. Why would you do such a thing?
Mm.
But his will be done. That is it.
His will be
That
done.
is, I'm telling you. And people who know, they can test it. They can tell, because we know, like I said, Apostle Tommy witnessed it. My late rabbi, they witnessed this whole thing I was going through. They witnessed it. And so they can testify that what I'm saying is true. So, yeah, I wasn't trying to hear it. I was getting some strong words and some things, and I was just like, but no, I didn't want to hear nothing but what I wanted. And that's not a spiritually healthy place to be in.
Mm-mm.
And so, yeah, but I made it through, and I'm here to tell you about it.
Wow.
I got prophecies that said that the people that some people that went through the course of the struggle of the back and forth, it would have killed them.
Mm.
I got prophecies that said there was a spirit in that person that the arguing wanted me to have a heart attack. I remember, or a stroke. I remember the argument got so bad, the chest pains just came. I said, oh, and I said, never. All this was transpiring. So when I be talking about stuff, I know it because I lived it already. I know it intimately, and he brought me through. But that's why I say that space wasn't really a spiritual, healthy place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Because while all this is happening, he's still requiring of you anyway.
That's the thing.
He's still requiring of you.
Yes.
If you teach, you still got to teach. If you prophesy, you still have to do it if he's calling you to do it.
Wow.
So the choice in the matter of your spiritual growth or in your spiritual health is which one do you desire more? Your own desires or the will of the Most High? I've lost everything. Spouse, careers, everything in my car, and I refuse to stop serving him because I believe what he said.
That's the thing. We stay because we believe.
And no matter what happens, you have to resolve in your mind that Yahuwah's will is in your best interest, no matter what it look like or feel like, period.
Absolutely. Jeremiah
and
said, yeah, right. Jeremiah says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him.
Yeah. But it goes back to two things or three things.
Mm-hmm.
The prayer life. I never prayed so much in my life. I'm saying I was having a hard time hearing him, but I never stopped praying. And he would send me prophet after prophet after prophet after. It was crazy.
Wow.
I never was without a word. Even though I was spiritually unhealthy, he kept sending the prophets.
Wow.
And their prophecy missed. None of it. A lot of times it wasn't what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear he was going to turn it around and do this and do that. No. It's not what they were saying.
Right.
So, yeah. Pauline, you started this. I was minding my business.
Minding your own business, trying to hold back. And here he come through his woman servant.
Yeah.
He set you up.
But that's I guess that's one of the times where, he said something. I was like, that can't be right. That don't make sense. Why would you? Because he's the Most High. That's why.
Yeah. What role does rest in all of this? What does rest play in maintaining your spiritual health, and how do you prioritize it?
Rest is completely important, right? It's just really, rest is really basic. Like, we need to be rejuvenated because the way that what's required of us in ministry, in daily life, that to have the ability to endure, right? He said, those who endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So just to have the capacity to endure within itself, we need rest. You have to endure ministry, you have to endure the daily life. Everything requires endurance. We need rest to just carry through on a regular basis. And it's important, like we mentioned earlier, that rest is so important. We have to prioritize it, or else we end up, like you said earlier, burnt out. And there's no way we can effectively do what he called us to do if we are depleted constantly and often. We can't find ourselves in those state. So there's some times where you just have to cut the phone off. Sometimes you can't pray for everybody. You need to pray for your own self. Rest and take no calls. Take a nap. Do something. Get quiet. Get quiet so restoration can come. Yeah, it's important. And I prioritize that. But for me, it's easy to prioritize because I think I live by myself. My kids are grown. I live by myself, so it's it's easier for me. But some people, they have children, they have spouses, their husband, they got wives, and they got many demanding things. They have to, it is imperative that they find the time to get some kind of rest, because with all of that responsibility, rest is imperative for them.
It is, and it's so important as a leader to make sure you get the proper rest. I used to leave my phone on, now at 10 o'clock at night in the evening, it goes off, and only certain calls can come through during that time. And I don't take it off until 7 o'clock the next morning, because people were calling me all hours of the night. And, I left it open for prayer. You need to talk, I need to talk to you off the ledge, whatever the case may be. But when you start sending me Instagram links and Facebook posts, I'm like, this is foolishness. So I had to put on my do not disturb, because they take advantage of it. So.
But you know how an important rest is. The Most High, He gave us the seventh day, the Shabbat, to completely rest. That's how important it is. He set it aside.
Yes.
To rest. So I make sure I'm in the Shabbat. That's part of the rest. And guess what? In that place of rest is where He can speak to us the most, because ain't nothing else going on, and our focus is on Him.
Grace to rest.
Yeah, he promised to meet us. Listen to this. He promised to meet us in the rest.
Ooh. Say that again.
Every week in the rest, He promised to meet us and encounter us in the rest.
Hallelujah.
Every week.
Woo. And that He does.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
I ain't making this up. I'm not just saying it to sound good. It is in the book that we carry around called the Bible. It's in there.
Wow.
And it's a commandment. So he even commanded us to rest.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is. And that's how imperative it is for us to rest.
Okay. A last question for you, unless AP has a question. But how do you measure?
I wasn't AP no more. I'm with her.
How do you measure your spiritual health regularly?
So how do I measure my spiritual health regularly? I try to one of the things I do is prayer, right? And I always examine myself to ensure that I am bearing the fruit of the Spirit, because the Bible says you know them by their fruit, and if we're bearing the fruit of the Spirit, that's a sign of a spiritually healthy person. If we bear something opposite, then we need to examine ourselves. But maintaining spiritual health, it's prayer, it's reading, it's examining myself, and it's asking the Most High to really show me the areas where I need improvement in, because I'm not perfect. And there's growing to do. And so I maintain it and I do my best and ask Him by His Ruach or His Spirit to help me bear fruit. And that's how I go about it, So yeah.
Awesome. That's all the questions I have for you, sir. But I do feel that you have something to say. And so I'm going to allow you to say it. However, Ruach gives it to you.
Okay. All right, so a lot was said here tonight, a whole lot, but the Most High requires us to grow, right? He requires us to move from one level to the next level, and He desires us to be whole in our spirit. He desires us to be rejuvenated, made whole, and we must make that a priority in our life if we are to be effective in all that he's called us to do. Right? We all have areas where we get in the slump. We all have those times where things don't go as planned or as according to what we have desired, but we have to exercise things like forgiveness. That's a big, that can affect our spiritual health. It can breed malice in us if we don't. And sometimes that's a big one. Hallelujah, forgiveness.
Yes.
That forgiveness, we can be fooled or deceived and think we forgave until we get triggered.
Ooh, yes.
The name something else, and then we find out that it is in us, and we're mad, we're angry, everything else. So something that happened a long time ago. And some of it is our accountability because we made the decision that put us in a situation, and Most High probably tell us do no way. Now we mad.
Yeah.
But forgiveness is a big one. It's a big one, and we have to forgive. I hear him. We have to forgive and let things go because it is the portion that is going to make us whole. It is going to bring us to spiritual healthiness. There's a lot attached to that. Fear of how it's going to look, a fear of, oh, I'm going to look weak, I'm going to look like they got over me and things like that. We can't worry about none of that. We have to release it. We have to release it. But he's calling us to forgive. He's calling us to continually be in covenant with him and calling us to learn and cultivate how to know and hear his voice. That's all I have.
Whew. I felt like it was some more, but that's powerful because forgiveness, it does. That's true because forgiveness is poison to our health. It's poison to the body. Yes.
Yep. Some people have moved on with their life and everything else, and we still mad. And it's affecting us. We can't be effective like that. It's not spiritually healthy. It's bearing. It's like deceitful, strange fire offering up, and fruit that's not brought to maturity that we're trying to bear, but it's not. So it's like unripe fruit.
Yeah.
And so it's a big one. The forgiveness.
It is. It's. We don't like to talk about it, but forgiveness is a big problem in the body of Yahushua. And
you have some of us we have to forgive our parents. Some of you have experienced molestation. Some of I don't even know I'm supposed to say that, but Father, yes. I don't know how to fix that up. It just came right out. I'm sorry,
okay.
But
it's okay.
Those deep-rooted things that some of us have been violated or betrayed in. Yes. We have to release those things because the Most High is calling you higher.
And when you said that, somebody needed to hear it, whether they're on tonight or whether they're going to hear it in the replay. But a lot of people are carrying that in their adulthood and in their spiritual life of being molested, going through that trauma. And that's why I find that having a counselor, mental health is very important.
Yes.
Spiritual health is vital. And some people have experienced molestation and they don't know how to get over it because the perpetrator is still present.
Right.
And sometimes it's even in the family. So you have to encounter that person often.
And it's not easy, but that's why the word tells us, it says when man things are impossible, with the Most High, all things are possible. It's not our power. It is his power that gives us the ability to be healed and overcome.
Right.
And overcome the situation. So, yeah.
It's important. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm done for real that time.
Thank you so much for helping us to maintain spiritual health and giving us the key points
Hallelujah.
of prayer and reading. You said something, I wrote it down. I wrote down a few things, but talked about requires us to grow. We want us to requires rejuvenation and rest.
Yep.
Powerful.
Hallelujah.
Powerful. So prayer and reading is the key, and staying before Him.
Yeah.
You said rest quite often. So yeah. So I'm going to take your advice and rest more than I do. No, I used to. I take Mondays to rest. That's my rest day. Monday.
Okay.
I do absolutely nothing on Monday but work. Go to work. Anyone have any questions before we end this show? Please come back next week where we have Apostle Thomas E. Simpson Jr., who's going to continue on the series of the burden of ministry, and his subtopic is balancing personal, professional, and spiritual life. And so this should be a treat for us. We're gaining some resources to help us not to be so burnt out. So please join us next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way you can get alerts of any videos that we upload or anytime that we go live. We really would appreciate you supporting us. You can also follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on TikTok, but I don't even really use it that much, but you can find us on those platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We have some comments. Let's check that out. You have to really trust the Most High to forgive. You absolutely do. AP says she's learning, and thank you. And Evangelist says thank you. So we appreciate you tonight for availing yourself and for stepping in, because we had another guest for tonight. Get that word out, but I don't believe in coincidences. I don't. I follow him. Say to do, I do. So this is where we are tonight. I thank you again for availing yourself. And I feel you holding back, but I'm gonna let you.
No problem.
I am going to let you go. Guys, thank you. Please come back again next week as we continue on in this series, The Burden of Ministry. Again, Apostle Thomas will be here next week. And the following week after that will be the Millers. They're going to be closing us out in the series. I think we're going to have a great time. We started off great. Today we went to another level, and we're just going to go higher. Thank you, guys. Remember, it's okay not to be okay as long as we don't stay in that place. Make sure that you pray, you read, and you rest. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all next time.
Join us again next week for another riveting and informative segment of His Will for Your Life podcast with Sherry and her special guest.
I'm not sure why, but
AP come bother me. I was minding my business. I was trying to be conservative.
We're still on. I don't know what.
Join us again next week for another riveting and informative segment of His Will for Your Life.